Hey guys, Kirk here, and thank you for joining me on a new video on the channel. In this video we are going to be looking at specular highlights, or greatly known as fake specular. What specular highlights are like little shiny dots, if you like, on the surface of our river, what we've been building over the past few videos in the series. And what it's kind of trying to imitate is the reflection from sunlight onto the surface of our river, and then that reflection then hits the eyeball in real life, and that's what we're going to try and imitate, if you like, with this kind of logic that we're doing. This is an optional thing to have. I tend to use it sometimes depending on the scene. So basically, like I say, it's just going to give a burst of what looks like light on the surface, as though it's imitating the reflection from the sun into the eyeball. So yeah, let's get straight into it. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to build the logic in here, and then I will probably transfer it to a function. As you can see, we've only got this space. We're going to keep this specular value in here, what we built in the last video, along with our refraction. So if you want to know how to sort refraction out and get it looking nice, go check the last video out. But for this specular highlights, we're going to be using the emissive colour. But there's going to be quite a bit of logic, and we can't get it all in here. So I'll put it into a function, and we can just set the function here. But for now, I'm just going to build the logic right here, I think. So with specular highlights, we do need a mask. So I'm going to click on my content drawer down here, and we're going to navigate to our masks. We've got a folder here for masks, and we've got water material masks. These masks are just what I've collected over time, like watching videos myself and on Google and things like that. Like this one is our specular highlight mask. You can get this on Google. It's quite easy to make them. If I just single out one of these channels, you'll see it's just a plain black background or a canvas, and you could simply use, say you use Paint or GIMP or Photoshop. You just create a black background and then use like the spray can. If I get close here, you'll see these have got quite a bit of fading, a bit of grayscale coming off them. To simply do this, you could simply get that spray can, make it really small, and just hit it over here quite a few times, make a load of little dots, just clicking with that spray can, and then just increase the size and do some medium sized ones. It's completely random, you don't have to be precise, and then just make the spray can a little bit bigger, and then just keep clicking on it like so, and it'll just produce these little dots, and this could be used as a mask. So this one I collected, and then I had to just copy it basically and duplicate it, and then I've created this one where it's basically I've copied this one, the red channel, duplicated it, and then rotated it a couple of times and just thrown them on top like this. So there's a few more dots here, and then for the blue channel I kept duplicating it and moving it around, changing the size. As you can see here, we've got some little tiny ones. And this is just basically duplicating this red channel texture and rotating it around and flipping it and all this good stuff. But as you can see, our green channel, we have more dots, and our blue channel is even like kind of like looking into space. It's really good, it's really useful. So yeah, that's the mask we're going to be using in today's video for our specular highlights. What we can do is just click on your mask and click on your shader graph, and we're going to hold T on the keyboard and left click. Get a texture sample. Once your texture is highlighted and you bring a texture sample in, it automatically puts that texture into the texture sample. Okay, so I'm gonna right click this and start to preview node, and then we've got it here set up ready to go, and we can see what we're doing a little bit better. What I'm going to do first is create some UVs for this, just some basic UVs. So we can scale it up and down to whatever we need. Before I continue, keep in mind guys, if I open this again, this is only a 1K texture. That's all you need as a maximum. You can go 2K if you want, but you really don't need to. It can either be 512 or 1K. It's completely down to you, but you can go higher if you want. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, let's create some UVs. So I'm going to right click here and just type world. I'm going to get a world position node, or absolute world position if you want to be exact. And I want this absolute world position just to portray on the Z axis. So I'm going to mask out the X and Y. I'm going to use a component mask for that. And just leave it as R and G. The component mask allows us to mask out, or mask in even as well, certain axes in real world. So here we have red, green and blue, and this basically means X, Y and Z as well if you're using it in this kind of workflow. So we're going to leave it like that. What I like to do as well, as returning viewers will know on this channel, I like to use a divide node to scale up and down my texture. The reason for that, a lot of people will use a multiply node, but if you have a scalar parameter here and connect it with this and scale up on your parameter for your UVs, the actual texture size gets smaller with a multiply node. With a divide node, it doesn't, it gets bigger. So I'll just showcase this right now. So I'm going to put in here SH for specular highlights, UV scale. Right, so we're just going to leave that like that. We're going to plug this into our divide node. We'll plug this straight into our UVs of our texture. As you can see now, it's just all blue. There's no value in this scalar parameter. If I hit 1 on here, and you'll see now just on the corner there, we're getting them little cubes. So if I give this a 5, you'll see them cubes are coming, them textures are getting larger, and that's what I mean by if I increase the size of the scalar parameter with a divide node, the texture gets larger. The only downfall to doing this is like you need quite large numbers for this. So I'm going to be looking at 50, maybe 100 actually, 150, 200, bloody hell. I suppose that'll do for now. But that's the downfall to using a divide node. You need large numbers to increase the size. But that will do for now. We can always change it later. And with our river surface here, you'll see we're flowing downwards. I don't want to flow downwards with these specular highlights texture. I want them to crisscross. But we do need to animate them in such a way. So I'm going to use a panner node. I'm going to right click, get a panner node in here. And this is going to allow us to animate our texture. By animation I just mean like scrolling, like a scrolling texture. So if I click on my panner node here, you'll see I've got an X and a Y axes, speed X, speed Y. And if I come to this X and just put a 1, you'll see this texture starts scrolling. All those crazy, doesn't it? So I'm going to reduce that speed. I'll put a 0.1 in there. We'll get a nice little flow here of colours. We do need to remove some of these colours, so we will sort that out later in the video. It's okay like that. What I am going to do, I'm going to build speed, a speed parameter, so we can control the speed in our material instance. So if I right click and just type SCAL, and we're going to choose a scalar parameter, and we're going to call this specular highlights panner speed, if you like. We're going to also right click and type time. We'll get a time node, and this time node basically is the time of the engine. We use this to tell the shader graph to use the actual time. We're going to hold M on the keyboard and left click, get a multiply node. We're going to multiply these two together, and this will enable us to change the speed of that. Now you'll see we've got a 0 on our scalar parameter here. If I increase this to 0.1 again, it's really slow, so, which gives us a lot more control. I can come back in here now and just reset that to default. Just increase that speed. Oh no, I do need this panel node to have some sort of direction in it. What shall I do? See, you can counteract this now. I could either come in here and put a 0.1 and I'll set the speed there, or I could come in here and put a 1 It'll be a little bit quicker on the x-axis, but I can still control the scalar parameter with it. Like so. But with this, you need really small numbers to get a decent speed. So if I reduce this to say 0.3, I'm just averaging out the speed, so I'm not having to come in our scalar parameter and give it really large numbers. And so for this I could go 0.5, it'll just move a little bit quicker. But for now that's okay. The texture looks a little bit warped, but that's completely fine. So now we've got this UVs and speed sorted out. And what I need to do is duplicate this because I want two of them, so they can counteract each other. We could just drag that divide node into there, and that will go into the time. And you'll see now it looks the same because these two textures are doing exactly the same thing. If I come into my panel node and say set this to 0.5, one of them is moving a little bit. If I can get close enough, one of them is moving a little tiny bit quicker. Maybe if I put a 1 in there. Oh wait there. Sorry guys, it won't work that. If I stop previewing this, hold A on the keyboard, get an add node. We're just going to add these two together. This is just so I can showcase what's going on with these two textures. We right click on our add node and start preview. And you can see now, I wonder why it weren't working, that one texture is scrolling quicker than the other. And that's fine, that's what we want. So this one is 0.3. Let's say I make this a 0.5. And we're moving in a relatively same speed. But with this, same as the water normals, you'll see a match up. We just got it then, where each one texture scrolling quicker than the other, but at some point it's got to, there it is, it's got to come back on itself and match over with a slower texture, which will then make it look the same. If you watch now, there it is, and that will just lose its fidelity straight away. We don't want that. So to change that, we just need to change the texture size here. So I'm going to hold M on the keyboard, left click, get a multiply node in it. I'm just going to drag out of our divide, and then this can go in the coordinates. And we're just multiplying this by 1 for now. I mean, we could change it. I'm probably going to change it actually. I'm going to put this as a 1.5. And now it'll be very rare for that to match up, but as you can see, it's changed the speed, which is great. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, well, I don't want them both traveling in the same direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to 0.2, like so, and then I'm going to put this at minus 0.2, and then they're just going back on each other, like so. And that's kind of the effect I want. So I'm going to increase that scale size. 500, a bit too much. 450. That'll do for demonstration purposes. Like so. Okay, so that is sorted out. We rarely will get a matching up now. It would send your eyes a little crazy staring at this. So let's get rid of all that colour. The way we're going to do that is just going to multiply all these channels together. If you keep in mind at the beginning of the video when I showed the texture, he's got a red, green and blue channel for it of each dot. So I'm going to get a multiply node in here. What I want to do is multiply the red of the top texture with the red of the bottom texture. And it's just going to take the colour out of it now. If I start previewing this multiply, and you see that little flickering dots we're getting? That's the start of our specular highlights. Gives a nice result off. And the reason they're popping like that, if I stop previewing, if I just start previewing this one, basically this texture scrolling this way and this texture scrolling that way. And the blacks you see in between these colours, that is what's blocking out the texture below, if you understand what I mean. So imagine two planes going on top of each other. The white dots are the colours, and the blacks are covering them other white dots, so it looks like they're popping in and out. And that's the effect I'm looking for. But if I duplicate this another 2 times, I want to multiply all these channels together. So I'm going to multiply the green with that. Multiply that blue channel with the bottom texture blue channel, like so. You could obviously go a bit more stylish if you like and create a function with these multipliers and call it multiply many, I don't know. It's completely down to you. What I want to do now is add these three nodes together. We're going to hold A on the keyboard and get an add node, and we're just going to add these two, the red channel and the green channels together. So if I right click and start previewing this, you'll see we're getting a lot more dots on our specular. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it properly. That'll be like a good effect for in a video game, like a TV in a hospital or something, I don't know. It's like a good effect. Maybe another tutorial there. But yeah, so these textures are scrolling against each other and they're popping in and out because the blacks are covering the white spots. And that's all it is. It's quite cheap to do. But I'm going to duplicate this add node again. I want to add our red channel and green channel with our blue channel. Our blue channel's got most dots on it. So we add them two together last. I'm going to right click this now and start previewing. It's going to be loads of dots. There you go. And that is exactly what I'm looking for. So if I throw this, right click on this add node and connect to emissive, oh wrong one, and connect to the emissive colour. Right, so I'm going to hit apply. And we'll check our scene out now. Let it load. Just let the shaders compile in the background. There you go. As you can see now, we're getting them speckly dots. But obviously, it's not the best look in the world. We want them kind of to be popping out and shining pretty bright. That's why we use the emissive colour. So let's go back to our logic here. Let me just think. I'm going to control the intensity of this. I'm going to put a multiply in here. Hold S on the keyboard, left click, get a scale up parameter. I'm going to go SH for specular highlights. Brightness, let's just call it brightness. Right, so I'll just stick a 1 on there for now. Throw that in there. We'll start previewing this. It shouldn't really change that much, but I can come in now and increase this. So if I put a 5 in there, 10, 20, 50, 100, you see it's starting to glow up now. And that's what we're kind of looking for with this. So if I right click this and put this into emissive colour, let's get rid of that. Like so. I don't really want to be going up to these large numbers with this intensity for this kind of popping effect. So I'm going to reduce this to like 25. That's fine in case anyway, but what I want to do is just duplicate this multiply node. I'm just going to multiply again into that A channel of our multiply node. And this is going to enable us to have a bit more, use lesser numbers for a bit more brightness. So if I do this by 5, you'll see we're getting that bright popping, but we can keep low values here. So if I put 1 in here now, that's nice. 0.5, 1, 2. There we go. And we're just enabling us to have lower values in our brightness, so we're not having to have a big long slider like between 0 and 50,000 or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of the basic side of the logic. Let's just move these in a bit, make it look a bit more tidier. Like so. What I want to do now is to create some sort of mask that this can work off, and then it'll just enable us to emissively pop out spots on our surface. If we apply this now, we'll just check it out on our river. It's always good to check it out. And as you can see now, we're getting a nice little effect on our water surface. It's not the finished result. It does look a little silly, but it's what I want, is the effect I want for the textures. So let's add this mask in, shall we? It's been some time since I've made a mask for channels. We're going to start. We'll get the component mask in. I know I need that. I'm going to select all three channels. So there's X, Y, and Z. Or no, not X, Y, and Z. Sorry, it is red, green, and blue for this. So we've got our red, green, and blue in these textures. I'm going to right click here. Oh, what's that bloody node called? Sorry for my language, guys. Reflection, yeah. What we want, the vector there, you can see reflection vector in world space. We've got to get this. And what this is basically going to do is... what does this do again? Right, as you can see there, reflection vector in world space expression is similar to the spirit of a camera vector in world space, but it outputs 3 channels. Right, okay. Representing the camera direction reflector. Right, okay, so what this is doing now, it's gonna enable us to use our 3 channels from our texture, and instead of having to create a load camera, where's that camera vector? It's down here somewhere. Camera position? No, I think it's a camera direction vector. No, it's not that. We can use that actually when we do our C. Camera vector in world space. There it is. So basically we can have the camera vector in world space, and what the camera vector does, it basically aligns whatever logic you've got to the camera. Well, this camera vector node is sat within this, but it enables us to use the 3 channels, and it allows us to reflect off the surface normal of our logic, if you like, our shader, and then it allows us to use all 3 channels, red, green and blue. So like here, I could come in, maybe put a vertex normal in world space, just drag that into our custom world normal. So I get my RGB, I'll just use this for argument's sake. I start previewing this. You'll see there we're getting our UVs portrayed towards the camera. It's quite hard to see with in here. That's a bit better. But you can see there that our UVs are being portrayed on the sphere, but it's trying to align the UVs to our camera using all the colours. It's quite a nice effect, that. But yeah, but let's build the logic. It's hard to explain. We don't need our component mask there. We're going to stop previewing this, get rid of that error, and go back to the square. Okay, so now we've got our dots. Let's build some logic here. Oh, how did I do this now? I had to do it a while back in a contractor did. We need to dot product that. We're going to drag off there. I'm going to put dot product. We're going to get a dot product node, and this is basically going to average out the length of each bit of logic we have behind it, and outputs a single value with it. We're gonna hold 4 on the keyboard and left click, get a vector 4 in here, and this is where we're gonna put a 1 in the red channel, and we're just gonna say we're gonna use the red channel for now. I'll put that into our mask. I'll come off here. How do I do this? Right click, let's see, start previewing. No, that's just the red channel. If I come in here now and select the blue channel as well, we get that colour mixture to a pink. That's right, okay. What I need to do is flip this. I'm not going to use the 1 minus, I'm just going to multiply it by a negative number. Stop previewing. I'll come in here and get a multiplier node. I'm going to set this to a -1. Now this should give us a black and white value now. Start previewing. There we go. That's what I want. Just all black. That's fine. Start previewing. And we're going to throw this into the dot product. Like so. And now this should give us an inverted mask. There you go. We're getting our blacks and whites. So the whites are going to show our dots, if you like. These. Let's start previewing this. These dots here. So this mask is going to show on the white side our dots, but on the black side it won't. So it's kind of like it's going to reflect from the sunlight into our camera if you like. And that's what, if I get the sphere, it might look better there. There you go. So the white is a reflection and the black is not, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, I need to saturate this, I think. Start previewing. We'll drag off our dot product and saturate. Saturate node, right click, start previewing. Should look relatively the same, but then numbers are bigger. Yeah, that seems okay. It'll look better once I start to add a bit more logic to it. It'll make sense a bit more. It just imitates the reflection from the sun onto the surface normal into the camera. But with this kind of mask, what we're doing here, it's just going to use a certain part of the surface normal. That's why we're not using the vertex normal itself. The vertex normal will just take the normals from here and use that, and we don't want that. What should we control now? Should we get the intensity? Yeah, I'm going to drag off here and put a power. Yeah, power node. We want a power node for each channel. So our red, green and blue. So line these up a bit better. We'll drag that in there. Drag that in there. I kind of forget how this goes. Alright, we've got a... We'll put SH for specular highlights. We'll call this popping. Popping amount. I'm going to put bracket in here, just type red to signify our red channel. Now I'm going to put a default value in here of maybe 10 to start with. This is just, we're just setting the amount of popping we get for each channel. So if I open this texture again, I can set the amount now with this power node of the amount of popping I get from the red channel, and then the amount of popping I get from the green channel. And by popping, what I mean, if you look at, oh, wrong one. If you look at this now, the popping effect, we're just setting this out, so it's hard to explain. But I know what I mean, which is all that matters. No, I'm only joking. It'll make sense shortly. So this value of our, this is going to be our green channel. We'll just change that red to a green, and this will be blue. But the green and blue channel need to be larger values, especially the blue channel, because that's the one most of them on, most of the dots. So for this, it's set to 10. I'm going to set this to 25, and this one's going to be 50. We'll just try, we could change these inside the material instance anyway. If I right click this power node, start previewing it, there you go. And that's just basically telling me how big that little dot is. If I start previewing this one, it should be a bit smaller. Oh no, it's the same size. Oh, it's inverted. Oh, right, okay. So I may need to 1 minus them. But we'll see once it's built. I'm going to come off here and get a multiply node. And here we're going to set the size of our popping. So I can get a constant 1 vector. I'm just going to start with maybe a 512 in here. Let's just preview this, make sure it's working. It has been a while since I've done this. There you go. That's the intensity. We could keep that as a constant value, to be honest. Duplicate this 2 more times. We want one for the green and blue as well. I'll drag this up. Stop previewing that. We'll put that in there. Put this one into there, like so. Okay, this tutorial's got a bit longer than I thought it would. I thought I had it all planned out in my head. Obviously not. I'm going to leave that there because I might make that a scalar parameter. We'll see once we've done the logic. But we can get rid of that camera vector mask. It's fine. This part here is the actual mask itself. And these are just parameters I'm setting. Or like the intensity. I think that's enough. I think we can just add this in now. We need to add this in. So if I move these forward, so I hope this works. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a wally. throw this in here. We're just going to multiply this mask into our actual textures. Well, this is the red channel, which is our top multiply, our blue channel, our green channel, and then our blue channel. And we could just simply add these together like we did with the others. So, let's see what effect this is giving. There you go. It looks a little bit strange. I'm going to apply it and just check it out in the scene. It's kind of the effect I want. It might not be perfectly right yet. Oh, that's a little crazy. Just let our shaders compile and catch up. We're kind of getting there, what we want. We're getting that popping effect now. But there's so much of it. Let's go in here and we'll add the blue channel in there. This will just add more of them. There you go. Hit apply. And these shaders compile. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? That's the effect I'm looking for. I'm just not liking this up here. Let's come up here a bit. There it goes with the camera vector, you see. Oh yeah, that's a popping effect, but I'm not liking. See that this node here, the reflection vector, like I say, it's reflected from the light source in the world to the camera. Like the light source is up here. So now if I look that way, it's like it's reflecting, but if I turn away, it's not. And that's what that reflection vector is doing for us. I kind of like that actually. I like it as it is. I just don't like all this in the distance, showing up in the distance there. Let's change the scale. 1024. This is the same size as the texture. Hit apply. There you go. It's going now. That's what we want. You could probably go a little bit higher with that. Let's slow that speed down a bit to 0.1. Hit apply. And it's still pretty intense. I set this to 1024 as well. Let that build. Shaders compile. There you go. That's what we're looking for. This is, like I say, it's something if you want to use it or not. To me, it looks okay. This is how you get specular highlights. There's quite a few of them actually. I need to reduce some of this. If I I'm not entirely sure what this is doing. Let's go to 5. Let's go to 400 and there, see what this does. Just open this into a cube. That's a weird effect, that. I do like it, but it's a weird effect. Hit apply, let's check this out on our surface. Might have reduced that popping amount. Popping amount red channel. Scalar parameter. I'm going to set this as a scalar parameter. Put question marks in there. I do know I need that, but I'm not sure what I need it for. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to open our material instance so we can work out of there. This is the logic almost done. It probably is done actually. I don't think we need to add more to it. We just need to play with our values here. Sort this out. There's a little bit too much popping. I'm going to enable this. Enable them all actually. So if I come to here now and just on my blue channel, say I put 500, it's just going to use that a lot more, and I reduce the green to maybe 5 and this to 3. And that popping is becoming a lot less vigorous. 512 in there again. 1024. That seems to be speed. So we've got 5 in there. 1. Right, okay. So 50. It's quite a nice effect. 150, 512, 0, 512. I think 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 25. Yeah, that's just how intense it is, isn't it, really? 512, 1024. Yeah, it's just how bright it is. 0, off, 1, 2, 5, 10. Yeah, that's definitely the brightness. 0.5. Panel speeds 0.1. If we go to a 1, we just got like 0.002. I'm going to change this back to 200. Yeah, so it's all about playing with it now, isn't it? Getting them values sorted out. It looks okay. If I come to it, it might make a bit more sense. Just making it look like there's some highlights reflecting off the sun. I may change this up a minute. Let's go to this. Zero this out. Hit apply. Just use the red channel for now. I don't like that red channel because it's leaving all the other channels open. I put just 1 in the. Oh, hang on, wrong one. I put 1 in the blue channel and 0 in the red. It's just going to use that blue channel now. Hit apply. It doesn't like that, does it? I think I need to have the red channel open. Put like a 0.2 in here. Hit apply. No, I need to have that red channel as a 1. Hit apply. It's working, but it's a bit intense for me, that. Turn that brightness down a bit. And the speed's okay, yeah. No, it is the effect I'm after, but it's like now I'm getting distracted in a tutorial. That's the effect I want, but it's just about playing with the parameters now. Yeah, just about having to play around with them parameters and finding out the kind of parameters you want. But for now, I'm going to drag this up a bit. I'm going to put this into a function and make a switch so it's usable. So, if I hit apply on there, oh, I don't need to do that. I'm going to right click in here, come to materials, material function, call this KM, my naming convention, spec highlights. Right, so, I'm going to open our function up, zoom out, control and V, like copy and paste, and we can just connect this in here. Hit apply and save. Come in here, get our function, and just throw this function in there. Like so. We've got spec highlights. We'll just drag that into the emissive. Like so. And we can just delete all that logic. Hit apply. This should stay the same now in its own little function. Yeah. I do like it. It needs a little bit more work, but I could be here for hours trying to sort this out, but this is the way to get specular highlights onto your water shader. One thing I will do before we stop is come in here, right click, I'm going to get a switch I'm going to scroll down and get the static switch parameter. We're going to call this enable spec highlights. Like so. We'll do that. I'm going to throw that into the true statement, true boolean. The switch statement is just a switch, like it's in the name. So with this, it'll just show up in our material instance, and we can just enable and disable specular highlights. It's a simple boolean basically. If you're unsure what a boolean is, it's just a true and false statement. I'm going to hold 1 on the keyboard and get a constant vector 1. I'm just going to leave this at 0, plug this into the false. So when I set this to false, it's just going to do nothing, it's just going to 0. When I enable it, it's going to use all this logic here. Like so. So if I hit apply on this now, come to our build world, open our material instance. So let's let this build. There we go. I wonder what was going on then. Taking its time. So yeah, as you can see now, we're just back to that normal river shader that we started with at the beginning of this video. We can simply come in here and enable this, and it'll just enable specular highlights onto our river. And then you can change all the parameters. Spend some time, guys, if you like this kind of thing on your river shader. Depending on your scene, just spend some time playing with your parameters and get it all sorted out to how you like. And we can just disable it as well. Let's go back to normal. So yeah, that's specular highlights in this video, guys. I hope this is useful. This is just one of them videos where you could add something to your river shader or lake shader. This would probably look a little bit better on a lake. So yeah, hopefully this is something you've got in your arsenal now, ready to use if you need it or you want to use it. So yeah, if you found this useful, then like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions for me, I've got a Discord link in the description below. Go and click on that, come and join me. You'll get a faster response from me in Discord. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. See you later.